Okay, for people joining this live stream, we are doing a design review of some new functionality coming after version 12.3, and somebody has a bunch of background noise here and should mute themselves. The This is about the system services functionality, and I don't see why is Bradley not here? Why is Brad not here? I thought he was the person managing
it. The main part of this design review is to talk about the Wolfram language API that we're designing for this. Not so much the list of services, but rather the API.
Brad should be here. Brad should be here. Can somebody find him, please?
Okay, let me try that.
Okay. So let's understand the why isn't this working? Okay. The basic story here. Okay. So what is system service? It's a wrapper of some kind. Is that right? Constantine, can you speak, please? Or Todd?
Well, system service, there's a set of functionality for seeing the list of all supported system services, getting values, configured values for those services, and setting configured values for those services. This is basically a way, it's an API for wrapping up a unified API for setting and getting various configuration values related to mostly kind of outside services, so that users can swap in and out different values for those, for the configuration settings for those services.
Is this a special case of persistent value, or how persistent are these things supposed to be?
They're persistent. It's implemented with persistent value.
But so how global is the persistent value? That is, if I set something for a GeoServer, for example, I might very well want that to go across cloud and multiple machines and all this kind of thing. But if I set something for my local object store, I don't want that to go across multiple machines.
Yeah, so you can use it the same way as persistent values. So you can store it in the cloud or in a local machine. So it supports all those locations.
Okay, how do I specify that?
Additionally, you can just have a directory with that.
No.
If you scroll down, below
okay.
there's a location section. There's a large section below.
Okay, so another question. Where is the list of services to which that this is supposed to apply to?
Also at the very bottom. Okay, so here's location. And these are some of the services that this applies to.
This list, which goes on quite a bit below, is not necessarily a completely comprehensive list. But people have been working on this list. It's mostly comprehensive.
Okay.
For some of this, the use is pretty straightforward. So, for example, for cloud, you just specify the URL, and for many of those as well. On the other hand, for mail, it's more detailed. There are many parameters. So,
okay. Okay. I'm not sure we can really do this meeting without Brad. So, because I need to ask a bunch of questions about these services, Because I'm not confident. I mean, what you're showing me is basically something that seems very much like what am I trying to say? That it seems very similar to just persistent value and so on. What is the difference here between?
But one difference is that, well, this is although it's implemented with persistent value, and in many cases we're using the persistent value system to store these things. That is not a user level API for setting things, right? If I want to tell someone to point at a different cloud, they're not going to call.
Okay, so what's this here?
Value.
What's this here? This is, I'm trying to understand. This is setting this parameter of this service. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I think this is a crazy way to do it. What's wrong with an L value and an equal sign?
Well, so this allows you to drill down the value and set only one specific value. For example, for mail above, you can just want to set a port. So that way you can drill down that value and set a specific password.
Well, I don't understand how you do that. Why can't you use an equal sign? Why can't you use, so this is,
so,
okay, so I don't understand.
You can use equal sign if you want to set the value. On the other hand, for example, you want to add a number of additional parameters, and setting would involve doing many equal signs, but you can use a single function set system service to basically merge the new set with what's already there.
Okay, this is really not useful. I really want to hear from Brad what the story is with these different services. Okay, I want to see the list of services, and I want to go through and understand this, because this is not a design I can do without knowing what these services need to support. Because you're showing me a few random services and telling me.
Right, but it's not. This isn't a few random services. This is a pretty complete list of all the services. There's about.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. How many? I mean, let's go and start.
There's a couple that I didn't put in because I thought they were more speculative or wouldn't be configurable. I think maybe the URL shorteners here. Yeah.
Where is URL shortener? Well, but there's nothing there. What information?
There's nothing there because I don't. There's just nothing there because I didn't put anything. I don't know what the value. There's no support right now for changing the URL shortener, but that's going to be a very simple example. It's going to be set system service, URL shortener, comma, and then some URL.
Okay,
right?
so this thing, for example, here, okay, this thing here, there are all kinds of timeout parameters, all kinds of maximum size parameters, all kinds of things here. And this needs to also merge with the EPC configuration stuff, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? In the EPC configuration, I'm pointing at data drop. I'm saying that the configuration for an EPC will contain some default information about what is the timeout, what's the maximum size of a data bin, all that kind of thing, right? What's the maximum rate of putting things into the data bin? Where does that information is presumably in the configuration for the EPC. How does it come out here?
Well, but this API is things that the user can set. It's not, the user isn't able to change the rate, those are configuration parameters on the service.
But so hold on. So this is in your session. Okay, okay, I understand. But here,
So
right? So wait. There are multiple. Let's say I'm dealing with 3 different clouds.
Mhm.
How do I deal with that here?
Well, you can see that fake output there has like Wolfram arrow and then a bunch of settings, and my company arrow and another association.
Right, but how do I know that I don't have 3 data drops as well? How do I know that there's an additional layer here of some qualification and there isn't one here?
Well,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah, you can do the same thing here. Yep.
No,
for the-
but you're not. But how would you specify that?
a couple things. First, the situation with data drop is somewhat complicated by the fact that it's probably linked to your cloud, right? So if you have an EPC, you probably want data drop from some
Well, you may
URL
do, but okay.
in that
So
EPC.
Bradley is here. I'm glad. So
Yeah,
you
just
had a
joking.
list of these potential services, right, Bradley? Can I see that list?
Yeah, it's a little outdated since Todd and Constantine started working on it, but I'll pull it up.
Okay.
It'll
So
take a second.
okay.
But Stephen, I just want to point out in that data drop example, the default for data drop will be something like $data drop base. So that's something that can automatically change when we'll have some automatic values associated with it to switch when you switch your
There isn't a
cloud
dollar
base.
data drop base.
I know, right? There isn't, but I'm saying that right now it's computed based on cloud base, and that's something that would you could set it manually if you wanted, but the default is not going to be a hardcoded URL. It's going to be some automatic or something that I just.
Well, I don't understand.
So,
what's the relationship between dollar data bin base and system service data drop? Do you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, system service data drop is a way that you would set or get the value of $data bin base.
Well, but I'm not sure that's what we want to do, because you could have dollar everything, right? You can have, there's a dollar GeoServer potentially as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a dollar GeoServer or not? No, there isn't.
No.
There's simply a GeoServer option for certain functions, right? Right? So here, this is an example.
It's not settable. Yeah.
What do you mean it's not settable? I mean, it is settable. You can set it right here. But this is an example where system service of GeoServer, the whole point of system service, when we invented it, 2-3 years ago, was to avoid just having a giant, boatload of dollar, this, that, and the other variables, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to allow the bulk setting. So, I mean, let's just go through the use cases again. Let's just go through what we're trying to achieve. You've got a different genome server that you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to use it only when you're dealing with the rat genome or something, and you have another one for the human genome. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now what I'm a little bit confused by is functions that use a server. They have specific names like GeoServer, arrow, whatever. Data bin add does not have a specific name for the data drop server to use. Do you get what I'm saying? So one of the other issues we have is going up a level to these functions where something is choosable, right? It could be that we say, well, actually the function isn't going to have an option. The way you would do it is some kind of blocking of system service and then just run the function in that environment. I'm not sure that's my favorite, but otherwise we have to have in each of these functions, we have to have the name of the server. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So what is your thinking about that?
Yeah, so that's how we developed it. So in system services, you can store these values in some format, which GeoServer, for example, can understand. So GeoServer would know that it would need to reach GeoServer section in the system services data.
Yep.
And from there, it would get information. So if you want to use one server for the rat and another for the human, so GeoServer would need to know which one to use for which. But the other things, or all the other information would be stored on system services.
Okay, but hold on a second, because again, you're not getting my point. My point is every function here, like this is geographics. It has a GeoServer option, right?
Yeah.
So let's look at genome lookup. Okay.
Stephen, I've got a notebook. I'll put the link in the Zoom chat.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thanks. Okay, so genome lookup does not appear to have a server option. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So to make a local specification of I want to use a different genome server, the question is, how are we imagining that's going to happen? So among the ways it could happen is, block, system service, genome server or something, then genome lookup, then end the block. That's one possibility. I'm not sure that's the best possibility, but that's one possibility. Did you get what I'm saying? The alternative is that every one of these has to have a genome server option, at which point I don't even know why we have system services, because at that point we've already created a symbol for this. We might as well create a dollar symbol as well, and so on.
Well, one thing about the dollar symbol idea is that if we have system service, then not every service needs to create its own dollar symbol.
Exactly.
And we also provide persistent storage for that value, right? Dollar GeoServer would be just something that, if that existed, it would probably be something that was just hard coded in some code somewhere, and you could set it within a session, but there'd be no persistent storage of an altered value for that. With system service, you can have a persistent storage in different locations, different persistence levels. For
so what I want to understand is this. Okay, do we think the right way to do this? Okay, so we have a model here for what is the thing that you basically never set that allows you to do things like the crossovers for arithmetic? What is that called? System?
It's called system option, I think.
Okay, so here. Okay, so this is an utterly obscure giant list of things. Okay. Caching options, all kinds of things here, right? And presumably in here, I don't know whether in here, are the servers set in here anywhere?
No.
I don't think
these are set in the C code, so they have no access to that.
Okay, fine. But so answer this question. I mean, if what we want is an escape valve to reset servers, what's wrong with system options as such an escape valve?
Nothing. Yeah, we could store here.
The system options are not persistently stored.
No, they're not. That's correct. They're not. I mean, look, what I'm trying to get at is this is a deep escape valve, is system options. But the thing we could be doing with genome lookup, either it's sort of action at a distance, you set something analogous to system options, system services, you set some particular thing there to change it, or it's something that's very granular and local, right? And, possibly the way to do that is to have something where it says, where there's a generic option, system service option or something, arrow, whatever. And any one of those functions, like genome server, could have a fragment of the system services record. I'm not sure this is a good idea, but I'm just saying that what you could do is have something where, rather than genome lookup having to have its own personalized symbol to deal with changing system services, to have something generic like that.
Yeah. system server might be.
Yeah, that might be a
name
reason.
for it.
No, but that's what it would do. It would just go to system services and look up its own thing. So there's no need for option at all. It's
Well, that's not right, Constantine.
assumed.
That's not right. That's not right. Think about the code, okay? Think about the code you're writing, right? Let's say I'm trying to change it. I want this to be the blue server, okay?
Right.
And now the code I write otherwise is set system service, genome server, and then I guess I say blue.
Slash blue. Okay. You can use.
Right.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do I do this locally? Now I say genome lookup of, whatever it is, some sequence in the rat. And then I have to revert it. How do I do that? Whereas this is a localized use of that system server.
Okay, so but here you need to explain what blue means. And in genome lookup, you just say system service option blue, and the whole bunch of settings will be stored in system service. And then you do set system service only once, and you store for genome service blue all those.
Okay, so then this is a bit like a theme. It's a bit like a style or a theme.
Right.
Evaluation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like use this.
So I mean, this is something like system service setting or something. I don't know what it's exactly called. This is a reasonable thing to do. This is a thing where that's a good compromise, because what you could do here is, if you want to give a whole structure locally, you give the association here. Otherwise, you simply refer to it by a theme name, effectively.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this idea. This is a sensible idea, because then we can have a generic setting here, and it knows. So one thing that's a little tricky is that genome lookup has to know, oh, I look for the themes associated with genome server, but its name isn't genome server. You see what I'm saying? Right. So in other words, there may be many functions like geo region value plot. Okay. And it needs to know that the thing it's looking for is the GeoServer. So we can document that. That's okay.
Right. Exactly.
And each group that wants to hook into it will have to write those hookups. So whoever's writing the geo functions would be the one that says, determines how the option works for them, what information it retrieves.
Right. But so let's go ahead.
I was just going to say that, right, every group that uses this system services, even in a current design without this option, has to do that, will write some code in their package that interacts with the system services framework. And this is just another way in which they would be specifying how they interact with the framework.
Okay, question. I mean, themes, plot themes. How do you set a new plot theme? How do you set up a new plot theme?
You could set it the same way. So it's basically under.
No, but that's not how it's being done right now. Right.
No.
So how is it being done right now is my question.
I don't know that.
Okay, we need to find out. It might be set in the style sheet. Like, for example, how do I set from code, another place where we're storing stuff is in style sheets. And arguably, okay, this meeting was not set up correctly. Okay. This meeting should have had in it also, like Connor, who's dealing with the Packlet, settings for Packlets and so on. What is the bright line between a system service and something like I assume the menu setup is not a system service.
No.
What is a system service?
Yeah. The way I had, sorry, go on.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the way I had envisioned it is the system servers and services are externally hosted servers that power built-in functionality.
I see no problem with that. Yeah. Okay.
So you rely on something outside of your local system to actually evaluate this function. said mail, data bin, resource system, geo stuff. There's all a server that powers it, and that's been my
That's reasonable.
my line.
How does this relate to service deploy?
I'm not familiar enough with that.
So the concept of service deploy, and I think, Todd, maybe you can speak to this. I think it's being used in Wolfram Application Server. It's the thing to set an external service. Do you see what I'm saying? So for example, service deploy will be the correct way to set up a mail receiver function. That is, I'm setting an external service to have this mail address that will be sent back in this way. You see what I'm saying?
Right. So what is the first argument when I'm using service deploy with Wolfram Application Server? What I don't actually know off the top of my head what that looks like.
No, I don't either. I think it's like service execute, right? Which has the service name first.
Right. So there's a service name. So system service, the system service framework then is the thing that can associate a service name with the URL for that service and maybe other settings like your username and password and things, so that your code can just say, service deploy to WAS or whatever, but you use the system services framework
that's sensible
to define what WAS means.
The line between those for me, and it's not a very strong line, is the difference between built-in language functionality and extended functionality. So you say service execute, I think of the Service Connect.
Yeah.
In my mind, there's kind of one framework for service connections because those are like extensions, and system services is for the things that are built into the language. But that's not a very bright line.
It's not all that bright line, although it is a somewhat bright line, because that's, again, another set of people who should have been involved here are the people dealing with integrated services, right? Because things like text translation, that's about to go from being an external service to not being an external service. Okay. And like, for example, the acceptance of license terms for an external service, how is that related to all of this? That's a thing that we need to, so right, when you first use text translation, for example, our agreement with the external service providers is that we have to pop up some kind of thing that says, I agree with these terms. Okay. It will be very good to tokenize that effectively and basically to be able to store in the system services setup something which indicates I have accepted this.
I see no problem with that. So another paradigm here is registry on Windows. So registry is a operating system provided database of some sort, and all the programs that run on Windows, sooner or later they read some values from the registry.
Yes, exactly.
So that's basically what system services is. It's some kind of configuration database.
Right. The thing that's tricky about it, for example, is how global should that database be? Should it follow you? Like, for example, if I use it that way, and I like that way of using it because I think that is an extensible, it's a concept that's usefully extensible. The issue is, like I could have a system. Okay, let's say that I've set my screen on one computer to be have some special color setting because my monitor is on the fritz and I want it to be, I don't know what, some different color.
Yeah. Okay. So this way also the genome lookup with the theme blue. So how do you know whether blue is defined on your local computer or somewhere on the server outside? Same idea. And probably we could just do a lookup one after another. So we look up locally, and if it's not set, then look up.
Right, which is what we do for persistent value, if I'm not mistaken. Probably. That's exactly what persistence path does. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the idea.
But Stephen, I just want to say that although what Constantine has built is actually at its core, it's just a system for storing data data in the form of associations and leaf values, and in a persistent storage location. But it's not. But the API system service that users use, it's not designed to be an arbitrary option setting holder, right? For anything.
Why not?
It's designed for, well, because I think then that it becomes a little too general. For example, if you do system services, just open bracket, close bracket, you see a list of all the system services. Now, would that include 100 things of every kind of setting?
Actually, that's what you're doing when you relate system options. You get
it's a big mess. Right, it's a big
but system options is not a user-friendly thing. System options, like you just said, it's a big mess. We're trying to create something that users will use.
Well, I understand, but I'm not too worried about. I mean,
same if you look in the registry on Windows, it's also a big mess, but each program knows its way around.
But the registry is not in any way a user level
No,
thing.
absolutely not. No.
I'm not sure that this
I don't
is.
imagine most users are going to use this directly. I would think a lot of the different services would have their way of registering.
I don't think
or like a
users
site
should
admin.
use it.
And I also wonder how this relates to packlets. Like, can a packlet set your local system service or not?
I don't see that a packet would automatically set something like that for you, right? I don't even. To the extent that a packlet has Wolfram language code and can run when you load the packlet, it can set anything you like by calling set system service. But packlets just do some metadata way, I don't think they would ever want them to be setting these things. It doesn't really make sense.
I'm not even sure you want them in general to be setting them. I mean, I guess a packlet could set anything you want. I mean, it could set 2 + 2 = 18 or something, in principle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But going back to the system service API, we already have persistent value. Right? There's already a means. If the implementer of some framework wants to store persistent values for various uses, we've already got that. We're building something that has special uses and limitations designed for a certain purpose on top of the persistent value. So users are not users and developers who are writing packages that will make use of this framework are not having to deal directly with the persistent value system.
Right. Look, part of the point here is knowing what we have to package up for an EPC.
Yeah.
Right? And so what is all of this? So this is, what the heck is this?
This callbacks thing, this is purely implementation detail. I don't think we should be looking at this at this point. This is just implementation detail.
Not really.
Not part of the.
I think it should be part of the API. But
wait a second. So the first question is, gosh, what the heck is this?
It's a possible syntax for drilling down. It could be using the / notation. It's just a possible idea for drilling down as opposed to like a list of values.
It is quite convenient. It actually follows the persistent object idea, but it's quite.
Does it? In what way?
It does. It supports the same way. It supports this slashable.
Okay, because it's basically thinking of it like a file system.
Right.
Rather, you drill down the value that you stored. So it assumes that you have a hierarchy, and you just go down. Yeah, pretty much file system.
I find myself using it all the time rather than the list notation.
It's more convenient to organize because you have natural hierarchy. Yeah.
Okay, I am running out of time here. Unfortunately, this meeting was. Let's decide how this meeting goes forward. I mean, there is. we need to zoom out. Okay, who is dealing with EPC configuration? Okay.
I know Joel
Whoever
Klein deals with that.
Okay. Whoever is dealing with it, whoever is making the EPC configuration needs to be in the next version of this meeting. I think it would be useful because this has got to relate to, when you configure an EPC, it is precisely setting the default installation-wide settings of system services, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, exactly. And this function, set system service, is exactly what an EPC administrator would call.
Right, but let me remind you that an EPC configuration is done through notebooks. So there's an existing notebook, GUI effectively for setting a bunch of these things, which should be merged with this.
Yeah, which is probably not a good idea through notebook. Send mail was configured only through GUI, and it was not convenient because you cannot send email from the raw kernel. You cannot configure it.
Right. Well, so we got, let's inventory for this thing. We've got another place is the preferences dialog. That's another. So I want to know, where are the places? This is an integrative thing, right? It's integrating many different pieces of functionality. So another one it's integrating is the preferences dialog, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to see that. Wow, what on earth is that? That needs to be reported as a bug. This is the latest.
And also,
Wait. I want to make sure. Do I have to report this? Is somebody here able to report
I took
this?
a screenshot. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so what are you going to say? And I'm going to leave then.
there is also the old style front-end options, the dialog.
Okay. All right. So listen, you guys get together the correct meeting here. Next time, if you have to, you can confirm the attendee list with me before we show up, but this wasn't the right set of people.
Right. Well, Stephen, this meeting was right.
Well, you're not ready for
meeting.
You're not ready for this. You've got to understand how this relates to, the preferences dialogue, how it relates to EPC startup. It's no good to just say, this is going to be the design of this particular little, proboscis at the end of the,
Yeah, so the idea was to have some implementation and see how all this large number of pieces.
That's fine, but let's zoom out a bit. We've waited long enough for this. Let's zoom out a bit and understand how it relates to these other things. Okay?
Okay.
And let's get another meeting about this, and I'll see you there. Okay, I'm going to disappear now. Okay, bye-bye.
Right. Thanks, everyone.